Hey, good evening, everyone. Happy Monday night. I hope you guys had a great day and a great start to the new week. And I'd love to hear what you guys have done today, how you started the week off. It was beautiful weather here today. I walked the kids both to and from school. And enjoyed the gorgeous outdoors. Because my kids, they normally swim on Monday nights, but they did not have swimming tonight because there's a parent meeting, which meant we got to walk a little bit more and hang out a little bit more, which was fun. And actually, got to read some more to my son about the bearded dragon. That is the hot topic in our house because that is his nonstop conversation piece right now is when am I going to get my bearded dragon, right? Which, again, has still not been confirmed, but, he's got to earn it. But we're researching and we're doing our learning, and it's really super fun to be able to do this and have him so excited about it and to want to learn about it. He's my learner anyway. All three of my kids are. They all love to read, but the fact that he's so ingrained and engrossed in those books that I got him to learn all about it, and he plowed through both of them and now wants to read them both with me. It's fun and it's exciting, and I love this age because they are real people. They can talk and they have ideas and they have thoughts and they want to learn and they want to be there, but they're still little guys, and so they still want to hang out and they still think mom is cool, which is fun. So yeah, it's been fun around here. But tonight I'm going to talk about, not about bearded dragons, but tonight I'm going to talk about what happens to our bodies with yo-yo dieting, right? So some nights I talk more about mindset pieces, sometimes I talk a little bit more about science behind things, and today I really want to talk about yo-yo dieting because it's a big one. It's a big one that a conversation that I have with a lot of people all the time, and I can see there are a bunch of people coming in now. If you're on here live, give me a hashtag live or say hello or something so I can know you're on live, because Facebook doesn't always show me who's here. And if you catch this in the replay, give me a hashtag replay so that I know you watched it later. And if you have a friend or a loved one that struggles with yo-yo dieting, please share this video because I'm going to talk about some science behind this and some things to hopefully help people. So for those of you who are coming on who may or may not know my story, who this gets shared to, I lost 75 pounds 3 years ago, 3.5. I started my program 3.5 years ago. But before that, before I lost the weight, and I've had it off, it took me 7 months to lose 75 pounds. I'm coming up on my 3-year anniversary of being at my healthy weight, which is super exciting. And that's really exciting for me on this topic of yo-yo dieting, because before I did this, before this round, and before I lost all this weight, I considered myself a professional yo-yo dieter. I was up and down and up and down and up and down for years and years and years, for my entire adult life. I gained and lost and gained and lost and gained and lost hundreds of pounds over my adult lifetime. And that's what I lived. That's how I lived as a professional yo-yo dieter. And it was really bad. And so when I started this program and I decided to get healthy once and for all, I decided to break up with that profession. Hey, Jackie, thank you. I decided to break up with that profession. I did no longer wanted to be a professional yo-yo dieter. I did not like that on my resume. That was something that I wanted to scratch off, and made a decision that I was going to scratch off. But I had to really change everything about my life. I have done every program under the sun, tried it all, and guys, I'm going to tell you right now, I've said this before, I know you've heard this other places, diets don't work. Period. Diets don't work. They don't work, right? You're going to lose the weight. I can tell you that. There are a lot of programs out there, you will lose the weight, right? But what happens when you stop that program? You gain the weight back. Unless you change your life unless you change your lifestyle, the weight's going to come back on. And that's the key. And that's what I did 3.5 years ago, is I found a program that gave me the tools to lose the weight, but gave me the ongoing lifelong tools to keep it off and to truly change my life. Does it mean that I'm perfect? Absolutely not. Does it mean that I still don't struggle with emotional eating and with all the pieces that go along with it? Absolutely not, because I do. But I have the tools and the resources to truly change my life. And that's been the key. That's why I'm sitting here 3 years later, still at my healthy weight. And when I mean this, right, I know some people who, fluctuate up and down, up as far as, another 10, 15, 20 pounds up and back down, right? I have been, and I'm actually going to post, I got to pull it off of my Fitbit, but I have documented, right, where I have lost the weight, right, and I have stayed within a 5-6 pound range, except for when I dipped really much lower at one point. But the 5-6 pound range from when I decided where my stopping point was 3 years ago, right? I have stayed within that range for the last 3 years. Okay, up and down little bits, right? Because we all do. I mean, anybody can have too much water to drink one night and get on the scale the next morning and it's going to dip, right? Everybody's weight naturally fluctuates 3 to 5 pounds throughout the week, right? That's totally normal. But within that 5-pound range, I have been there for 3 years. I've never, ever, ever in my life been able to do that. And I can tell you, I'm never, ever, ever going back. And that's because I changed my life. Right? So yo-yo dieting is really a real thing. It's a scientific thing, right? So what it is, and there's a theory called Setpoint theory, right? And it's been proven to be pretty legitimate. There are some people out there that say it doesn't exist, but I can tell you it, from my experience, it definitely exists, and I've done my research, and it's a pretty legitimate theory out there. And what it is that everybody's body gets to a place where it gets comfortable, a set point weight, right? It could be a set point weight at a healthy weight. It could be a set point weight at too high of a weight. But your body sets there and gets really comfortable there, right? And when you lose the weight, what happens is it starts to want to fight to get back to that spot, right? So what happens is somebody's set point weight might be 200 pounds, right? But their healthy weight is 150 or 140 or 130 or whatever. I'm just, throwing numbers out there. So say their set point weight, they've been sitting somewhere in that 190 to 210 range for quite a while, right? Bouncing back and forth, struggling, yo-yo up and down, losing a bit here, losing a bit there, right? Their body's comfortable weight has become that around that 200 range, but they really, health-wise, need to be at 140, right? I'm talking about a woman, most likely, right? So they go, and this person goes on a quote-unquote diet, loses that weight, but that body starts fighting to get back to that set point, because that's where it needs to be, especially with a woman, because women's bodies are built to hold on to the fat stores, because we need it to feed babies, right? I mean, we were made in an amazing way. We were made so that we hold those fat stores so it comes back quickly because we need it, right? It holds on to estrogen, it holds on to all kinds of things. So when we go on a quote unquote diet and we lose that weight rather quickly, right? If we don't change our lifestyle, our body is going to fight to get back to that set point every single time. So what happens is you have to keep that weight off long enough to reset your set point. I mean, that's just the science behind it. There's no question. You have to keep, and how long is that? It might be different for everybody, right? It's, I don't know that there is an exact science behind the amount of time, right? I mean, I can tell you I've had my weight off for about 3 years, and my set point has pretty much reset itself, right? Now, if I slip up some, it doesn't go flying back up the way it used to, the way it would have 2 years ago, the way it would have even probably a year ago. It's pretty much balanced in that set point, at that new set point, which is why last winter when I did dip down, I decided I wanted to lose some more weight and bring my weight back down, and get a little bit lower, right? I went back on program and I was on there and I was really good, and I got down another probably 10 pounds, right? And then as soon as I didn't stick that close to it, my set point had reset to where I had been for the last two and a half years. So it did scoop back. Now I'm still within my healthy range because my set point is now at my current weight, not at where I started at 252 pounds, it was probably 4 years ago, right? That wasn't where I was then, right? My set point is now my new, what is considered a healthy weight, which I'm okay with, right? And when I decide to really take it back down and get back to where I was last December, which is where I'd like to be, I know I can get there. But I know I'm going to have to work really hard to keep that weight off and to reset that set point again, which is a number one reason why when a client gives me a goal weight and then they tell me when they're 10 pounds heavier than their goal weight and things are getting hard, because it always gets hard those last 10 pounds, not that my program works any different for the first 10 pounds versus the last 10 pounds, but our mindset shifts. Right? We're feeling good. We're looking good. Our clothes are fitting good. We're getting all kinds of compliments, right? All those things. And so people say to me, I think I'm okay now. And I always say to people, get to where you actually want to go, because you're going to have to work hard to reset that set point, right? And so set it where you want to be, not 10 pounds higher than where you want to be, because you don't want to have to fight through that again, right? It's not worth it. It is not worth it. So if you're trying to get healthy and lose weight, I don't care whether you're on my program or some other program, when you set your goal, don't stop 10 pounds ever. Don't stop 10 pounds away from your goal. Go all the way there. Get all the way there. Fight through it. Get all the way there. But the only way you are going to keep that weight off, the only way you're going to do it, is if you don't stop changing your habits when you hit your goal. That has been the number one key for me, right? I still talk to my coach on a very regular basis, right? I still reach out for help when I'm struggling with emotional eating or with other things that are going on in my life, right? I still tap into and work my habits of health system, right? I have right here my life book, right? I am working through my life book. And for those of you who maybe are in my emotional eating challenge, you have elements 1 and 2 for free. Start working them, right? I do these things, right? I still do these things 3.5 years later. I tap into all the free resources that I have at my fingertips that I give to my clients, the nutrition support, all the healthy habit calls, all the different pieces into my healthy community, because that is what has helped me reset my set point, right? Because what would have happened if I didn't use all those things, right? I can tell you what would have happened. I would have slipped back into old bad habits as soon as I would have transitioned into what's called, my optimization plan, into my current plan, right? I would have slipped into old bad habits. And when I struggle with my emotional eating and when I struggle with the things that I struggle with, we all do. That is life. When I would struggle with them, I would spin out of control. I wouldn't be able to rein it in because I wouldn't be utilizing the tools that I have at my fingertips, right, to keep it off. And so that is my biggest advice to you. It's real. Yo-yo dieting is real, right? It is unfortunately, it's a scientific thing. Our bodies are made to bounce back, right? Especially women, right? So, women, I can tell you, my husband and when we went on program, I went on program 2 months before he did. And he came, I went on program. I was doing great. 2 months in, he hopped on program. We hit the 45-pound loss mark on the exact same week. Okay. How depressing is that? It's really depressing, but that's just how men's bodies and women's bodies are metabolically very different. Very different. And women's bodies, again, like I said, are made to store fat stores because that's a protective mechanism. That's so that we can, feed babies and keep ourselves healthy. And right. And our bodies, wintertime, I will tell you, it, for a lot of people, is definitely harder to lose weight in the wintertime because it's cold outside and our bodies want to hold on to those fat stores as a protective mechanism to keep us safe, to keep us nourished, right? That's how we were made originally before we had food all year round that was easy to get, right? When we were hunters and gatherers in the wintertime, our body went into more of a conservation mode because when we were hunting, the animals were hibernating. There was nothing to hunt, right? There was nothing to gather. The berries weren't growing, that kind of stuff. So it's a physiological, real thing, right? So we have to work harder. It doesn't mean you can't lose the weight during the winter because trust me, I have helped clients that have started in September and by June, they've been down 100 pounds. It works. It happens. It happens all the time, right? I can't even tell you how many clients over the last 3.5 years I've helped lose over 100 pounds, right? Anywhere from, some clients come on and want to lose 10 pounds. Some clients want to come on and lose 50 pounds. Some want to lose 100, some 200, right? I've worked with everybody and the same consistent weight loss, no matter when they start during the course of the year. Right? So that has nothing to do with it. But if we're not watching what we're eating, if we're not watching what we're doing, if we're not working on our healthy habits, we fall into those old bad habits. And I also think in winter, sometimes it makes it harder because we're just not outside as much. We're just not as mobile, right? Most Americans on average sit for 9 hours a day. We are not getting up off of our lazy butts and moving, right? Just get up and move, right? Kids nowadays are outside and playing for less amounts of time than somebody that is in prison, right? Kids are outside for on average 6 minutes a day. Are your kids sitting inside all day watching TV and video games, right? Part of the reason why I walk my kids to and from school is exactly that, to get them up off their butts, right? To keep them moving. And my kids are not video game kids. We don't have video games in my house. They don't watch much TV. They have devices, but they're not on their devices very much. That's just not our thing, right? In my mind, there's enough time for that as they get older. But really, what are we doing? We need to get up. We need to keep moving. We need to break that cycle for ourselves because we can, right? Yo-yo dieting doesn't have to be our reality, right? If I was able to break up with that profession that I started when I was a teen, right? I started struggling with my weight when I was about 12, 13 years old. I hit my healthy weight and went up from there, right? I was dieting all the way starting early high school all the way up through until I changed my mindset and made a change here, 3.5 years ago, right? When I was 39 years old, I finally said, enough is enough. There is no more diets in my life, right? I'm changing that diet mindset. I'm thinking about it all differently, and it's so important, right? Once we shift that mindset and start thinking about it differently, that's when we can change it all, right? Diets don't work. That's what I have to say. Diets don't work. When somebody comes to me and they're on a plan and they say to me, well, what do you think about a cheat day? What? What's a cheat day? What does that even mean? Who are you cheating on, right? Right? If you're having a cheat day, that means you're cheating on someone, right? If you have a spouse, you're cheating on your spouse. If you have a friend, you're cheating on a friend, right? Whatever. Who are you cheating on, right? If you are planning to have a day that is not on your regular program, it's not a cheat day. It's a shift in your plan, right? That concept of a cheat day is very much a diet mentality. It just shifts in your plan. You're doing something different that day, and that's okay. That is okay. If you are planning to do something different, as long as it's planned, great, go for it. And I help my clients when they say to me, I have such and such event coming up. I'm not sure how to handle this on plan. What do? We sit and we look at it and we say, okay, well, what's your plan going to be for that day? What makes sense for that day to not kick you out of fat burn or to not derail your goals that you really want? Or maybe you're okay with it derailing your goals for that day, right? We work through that, but then it's not a quote unquote cheat. It's a different plan, right? A different plan. I can't even tell you how many clients over the last 3.5 years I have worked with that they're getting ready to go on a vacation and they'll say, what do I do? How do I go on vacation and not totally derail? So what do? We get on a call and we strategize. What are your goals for that plan, for that vacation? Where do you want to be when you come home from that vacation? How do you want to feel? Do you want to maintain your weight? Do you want to lose your weight? Do you want to lose more weight? Right? Do you not care? Right? Do you want to keep your increase of energy? Where is it that you want to be when you're done, when you come home from that vacation? And then based on that, we're going to set your plan. And that's so important with anything that you're doing. Have a plan. And when you do that, you can cut and kick the yo-yo diet habit, because the yo-yo diet doesn't have to be your habit. It doesn't have to be your life anymore. It doesn't have to be your profession, right? I hear it from so many people that struggle with the same thing that I used to struggle with, that when I say I was a professional yo-yo dieter, they laugh and they say, oh, that's what I am right now. No, you can remove that job description off your resume, and I can help you do it, right? I can absolutely help you do it. So if this is you, hey Amy, if this resonates with you, if this resonates with a friend or a loved one that you can think of that says that you always see them going up and down and up and down and up and down, pass this along to them, because it doesn't have to be their reality. And the truth is, yo-yo dieting is really, really, really hard on our bodies. It's hard on our organs. It's hard on everything. And forgetting about that, it's hard on our emotions, and it's hard on us mentally, right? Every single time I would lose the weight and put it back on, I would feel like more of a failure and more of a failure and more of a failure. It was horrible. It was horrible. It was so depressing, right? And when I finally started this program, that's where I was at. Prior to doing this program, I had worked with a doctor and done some crazy regimen that they had me on, and working with a personal trainer, and I was working out like a lunatic, and I had lost a whole lot of weight over the course of almost 2 years, and I hit my plateau, like I always do not anymore, but like I used to do with every program that I ever did, right? I would hit a plateau and the weight would start coming back on. And that time, it didn't just creep on, it flew back on. Within 6 months, I had put on almost all the weight that I had lost over the course of 2 years. And physically, I felt horrible, right? I ached all over. When you put on that much weight that fast, I mean, the inflammation comes back. My knees hurt. My hips hurt. I couldn't walk without limping. I was 39 years old, or I was turning 39 years old. And I was walking like I was 75. I was limping all over the place. It was terrible. It was horrible, right? And so I felt physically terrible, but I also felt like a complete failure, because who was I? Once again, I had sworn I wasn't going to do this again. I had sworn that was the last time I was going to lose the weight, right? And I was just emotionally, I was beat. I was done, right? I was rock bottom. And sometimes we have to hit our rock bottom to finally come up and save ourselves. And that's where I was, right? And I thought I had been at rock bottom once before, right? I thought that that's where I had been previous in my life, but clearly I hadn't. It was that last time, and I'm never going back there. Never, ever, ever. And I can say that with complete honesty. Not that it's easy now, not that I don't fight through it now, but I know that I have the lifelong tools and the lifelong resources to make a difference and to make a change. And that's what's different now. That's what's different. I decided to remove yo-yo dieting from my resume. It wasn't on there anymore. It's gone, right? I don't want to tout that anymore. That's my past. That's who I was in the past. And I talk about that that's who I was in the past. I don't try to hide it, so I'm not erasing it from that, because that's part of how I got my story. That's how I got here, right? I had to go through that to figure out where I wanted to go. But, what I can say to you is it doesn't have to be your story. And it doesn't have to be the story of your loved ones, right? It doesn't have to be anybody else's story. You can learn from me. You can learn from those of us who have struggled through this, because you don't have to live in that reality. And my life is so different now that I've decided not to live in that reality. And the amazing thing is I have 3 wonderful children and a husband that I am, all 4 of whom I am blessed to have in my life, right? I could not be more blessed. And the truth is, my journey, not only did I change my life, and my husband lost, like I said, my husband lost 50 pounds on program, right? But we have also, because of that, we have been given the skills and the tools to teach our kids new healthy habits that I don't think my kids will ever struggle with this, right? They don't hear the word diet in my house. We don't talk about weight loss, right? That's not, they hear me talking to my clients, but it really isn't about that. They hear about all the other pieces. They hear about the life book and how I'm changing my life. They hear about health. They hear about wellness. It was amazing. I was walking my kids to school, 2 of my kids. One of my kids is at the middle school, so my husband drives her, and I walk the 2 kids to elementary school. And we were talking the other day about what they wanted to be when they grow up. And my daughter, who is going into 5th grade, she said, "Mommy, I think I want to be a coach just like you." Right? And I said, "Really?" I said, "Why?" And she said, "Because you get to help so many people." Right? How amazing is that? Right? It's really cool, the things that rub off. And it really shows that I've made a difference in their lives. All 3 of my kids, even my son, who is, a sugar, sweets lover, and all 3 of my kids are sweets lovers. But they know, they have an understanding that I've taught them, right? And it's not just my words that I'm telling them, right? Do as I do, not as I say, right? My life used to be do as I say, because I wasn't doing, right? When I was eating all the junk that I was eating that helped me become 100 pounds overweight at my heaviest. And that's a story for another day, how I ended up 100 pounds overweight. But, instead of them seeing that, they now see that I talk the talk, I walk the walk, I teach it. It's all part of who we are and what gets presented on our table. Trust me, my kids eat well, right? My kids get junk food sometimes, right? Nothing is off limits, but it's all in moderation. And they understand that. And we talk about it. And we talk about how to stay healthy, right? So that we can build new healthy habits so that they hopefully will never, ever, ever have yo-yo dieting on their resume. So on that note, I'm going to say goodnight because it is getting late and I am tired and I need to get my healthy sleep because that's an important part of our healthy habits, getting our healthy sleep. If you are not in the challenge and you want to be, feel free to shoot me a message. It just started today, so you are welcome to join in. We are talking about emotional eating all for 10 days. And like I said, we are going through elements 1 and elements 2 of the life book that is free to download in there. And I'd love to see you guys in there. If you have any questions, any thoughts, if this is something that resonates with you and you want to talk to me about it, privately, please feel free to reach out. I hope you have a great night and I'll see you back here tomorrow. Bye.